In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Now we will talk about the second protection function we have, which is distance protection. The first thing I will do is open the application configuration. Here, we will discuss all the blocks related to distance that allow me to work with distance, reach, and timing. The first block I have is the block directional impedance. What this block sign does is that you need to cut a 3-phase voltage and 3-phase current from the signal matrix analog input with the same cycle time as the block. From the signal, you will find it has the same as the cycle time is 8 cycles, so you need a signal matrix next to it to ensure your cycle time is either 8. It first outputs your initial start directional condition, which you then take to your zone to determine whether it's forward or reverse, or it gives you the start condition if you choose it to be forward. As soon as it receives the signal that it's forward, it operates, or if it receives reverse, it doesn't operate, and so on with reverse. Now regarding the distance zones we have here, there isn't just one block, there are blocks for the zones that you download into the application configuration. I mean the last thing you have. They are 4 blocks. You download all 4 blocks, and according to the order you downloaded them, they will not be arranged. I mean, you are still, if this means this is zone 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? But it does not mean that you also made them 1, 2. You can make the sting of this block less than the sting of the larger sting of this block. You can make this a refresh, this one a refresh as you want. You have a door that opens all the configurations for you, and you are supposed to arrange them as you want. Okay, so and we take them in the same order you downloaded them with their respective zones. For zone 1, what are the things I use as virtual inputs or virtual outputs? The first thing here is the 3-phase current and 3-phase voltage you must take them from. The signal matrix analog input, which has the same cycle time. After that, you get the block that you take from power swing Uspala's start. Above, there is a power swing block where voltage and current enter, and on the other side, it shows the start on power swing. We will talk about this when we test the function. You have VT fuse fail, which takes the virtual signal coming from the VT fuse fail function, and it is the block impedance. Where does this connect to? To your distance on all zones. The statement that my dear friend is saying does not apply to everything. You have the direction condition, which you use from the function at the very top that we mentioned, the directionality function, direction impedance. Then you have something called what? The start condition. The start condition is nice, a sequence, and you take it from something called what? The phase selection. What is this phase selection? It's a block where you take the phase voltage and current, which also gets blocked as a result of the phase fail, and its directionality is also used from the same block of the direction impedance. It outputs trip and start and a few other things. So what is this function? This function, quite simply, if you go to it in the manual, you will find it here. The phase selection here talks to you about phase selection, saying that the operation of the transmission network today is in many cases close to the stability limit. In many cases, the operation of the transmission network today is close to the stability limit. Due to environmental considerations, the rate of expansion and reinforcement of the power system is reduced. This means that currently, because of the environmental justifications you have, it's difficult to enhance or build additional stations in your power system. Consequently, the strength of your power system is somewhat limited. To maintain or increase its strength, you must preserve the existing infrastructure. Consequently, due to these issues, it tells you that these problems, like not being able to build another power transmission line, make it difficult for you to accurately and reliably classify the different types of faults. So things like single pole tripping and auto reclosure can play an important role in this matter. This means that if you can correctly identify the fault and know which phase the fault is on, you can isolate that phase and perform auto reclosure on it while keeping the other 2 phases closed. This improves or enhances your system's capability. After that, you need to correctly reclassify the fault in the selection, which is essentially about the quadrature characteristics with a fixed angle in everything, but it has a part in the forward and a part in the reverse. This is the story of the phase selection. In phase selection here, there is an output from the start with impedance and the start with current. You take the start on the impedance and begin operating all the zones unless the phase selection is less than one of the zones. In that case, you should use the signal from the start with current only. You can perform impedance selection in the 4 zones. Is that clear? Are we good? I have the settings here and we give the maximum. The same phase selection there. Trip is not used, Start forward on any phase, start phase to ground. Start reverse on any phase, start reverse phase to ground. Here you have. Start non-directional on every phase, start non-directional phase to earth, and start forward single phase, two phase, and three phase. And here current condition, but release as phase to ground, and phase to phase. Actually, you use all of this as you understand, except for the last two. Load encroachment or load blender means you have something called the idea. Here in the how is it working, it comes and tells you here. For example, you have another opportunity, like two more opportunities, for instance, from station to station. It's nice if the upper line is 100% from another opportunity containing another opportunity up to 120%, and the lower line also contains another opportunity up to 120%. These come to the station and go to another station, okay? In case the upper line is disconnected. And meanwhile, the retro technology will return again. During this period, the lower line remained indicating 120% of the upper line, which remained indicating 240%. 250% plus an undervoltage will occur. He told you the maximum undervoltage is 90%. Say 80%. 80% of the UN. 80% of the... I told you. What is the name of your 80% UN on 250% of the full load current? You will find the value of impedance. This value of impedance could be a zone. So, I told you what we will do simply. I will come here and do this. I told you if I will draw my zones. I calculated my knowledge, which is 0.8 of the UN. I calculated it on 250% of the full load current, and I got you a specific value of R. I got you a specific R value for the iPhone. All right, the ground is obviously large, so we can remove it like this and send a large R that takes the entire length. Then it tells you that this impedance might be quasi, right? But at the same time, let's first understand how I was working before. It said you were working closer, for example, this is a load, not a fault. So with a load, it means you were working with a power factor. What is this power factor? It said the power factor is about 0.9 something. The 0.9 something, okay, in the worst case, your power factor might reach 0.85. This is the worst case. The cosine inverse of 0.85 gives you about 1.30 and a bit. 1.37 something, consider it. But for example, 35 degrees. It tells you to come here and go up by 35 degrees like this. And then go down here, this is 35 degrees. And then go down. And then go down here by 35 degrees. Sorry, the drawing isn't good. At that time, this area here, which comes like this area here is outside. Even if there was a zone in this area, it doesn't belong to these zones. We call it load blender or load encroachment. In the microcontroller, it gives you another option, saying, how would I know? I might have come here due to a fault. Who said it's a load blender? It will tell you no problem at all. In the microcontroller, it said, you have another setting for undervoltage for the load blender. You calculated the load blender based on it being 0.8 of the UN at 150 volts. It said, okay, how do I know if this is voltage or load blender? It told you that, well, if the voltage drops below a certain threshold, e.g. 0.4 of the UN, it is impossible under normal load conditions. The voltage cannot allow it to reach 40% of the UN. Therefore, if your voltage is less than 40% of the UN, I will consider this area as a voltage block on the load blender and will not consider the load blender to be working at all. It will operate with the normal zone timing. All right, that's good. Now I have everything set up. I have adjusted the zones, set up their inputs. I have a trip for each phase, a start for each phase, and a non-directional start for this zone. Now I will enter each zone here. I will enter the setting on, off, I base, U base, directionality, comet X1, R1, X0, R0, RPB, and RFBE. It has a drawing we can see in the manual if face-to-face and timer work and their time, face to ground, timer work and time, and minimum or sensitive current. How its timing is set, or the state if it is set at 20% of the... I inform you that if it is in phase-to-phase, meaning the bird goes and returns, then each phase will have 10% because the bird goes with 10% at angle 0 and returns with 10% at angle 180 degrees, and the phase to neutral is at 20% of the base. Of course, this last option is only used if the zoom world is used as a reverse. Of course, this does not mean writing. Zone 2. finds the same situation as zone 1 because no one can fertilize you since zone 2 is zone 1 and zone 2 is zone 4. This is the number of blocks you have downloaded in this order, but no one can prevent you from operating zone 1 or zone 2 normally at all. Here we set a specific situation perfectly. You have set certain settings, entered phase selection in, entered I base and U base, and the work with impedance you have done is okay. You have entered some settings for load encroachment and some settings with which you will draw your zones perfectly. Okay, the direction impedance. You enter here the base current and U base. And then the minimum sensitive current for the phase to see the directionality and the ground sensitivity. Then you have the angles here. The story here is in the manual if you go. On the distance zones here, for example, zones as face to ground, you have here the part RFPE that we mentioned in the zone. Here R1 plus Rn, where Rn is the R node. Some people take R1 over 3, and here X node, some take X1 over 3. Of course, this is to draw the zone. It shows you the entire zone as a line direction, but if you want to draw it as a direction, here it is. Here, the English are in the second English for the direct degree, which means you will come here in the manual, you will stop here at the 115-degree article and draw a line. Portfolio direction number, of course, the rest is up to you in the format direction. So this means that you come here in the manual. You will come to stop here at the ground, go up 15 degrees and draw a line. This starts the boundaries of your forward. And for the other 15 degrees also in the fourth quadrant, meaning you go down 15 degrees, like this and cut like this. Then your forward reverse is the same but extended, meaning you extend this 15 degrees like this, and the 115 degrees you extend downwards. This means that the 15 degrees here are reversed from minus, you raise them up, and the 115 you bring down. Okay, and you have how to draw a Cavisto phase and how to draw a Cavai. I just bought Neutra. The only information is that these values are primary, so you must convert the cycle in terms of the set ratio to the fit ratio, or divide by the set ratio in the fit ratio. Do not think about converting from primary to secondary cycle. You almost just divide by the set ratio and the fit ratio, or multiply the set ratio by the fit ratio. You can improve the problem simply. You can improve the problem quickly. On a fit, you see, like you convert it, as if you are converting from a second, and it will become clear to you. Okay, the phase selection is set, the direction is set, the switch and fold do not need to be off, and the power swing is also off for me, and the fuse fill is also off. After the installations, you take the start from each phase, gather them all together, and take the start in phase A, the start in phase B, the start in phase C, because you will choose 1, 2, 3. And you also have start L1 for all, start L2 for all, start L3 for all. After that, you take your output, which is phase A with phase B with phase A with phase A with phase B. You tell me phase to phase, which is A, B, B, C, C, A, if you want to set these things for whom? For the sake of the system and these things. Okay, I will go out again here. I took all the trips of all the plants to get the reach with them and put them on the war gate and went out with them on what? On the output content. Great, I will enter my Excel sheet. I will put the fit ratio. 132.115 set ratio. I will tell it to zoom. And they gathered 4 zones here. It will take zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 4, zone 4, zone 5, zone 6, zone 7, zone 8, zone 9, zone 10, zone 11, zone 11, zone 12, zone 13, zone 14, zone 15, zone 16, zone 17, zone 18, zone 19, zone 20, zone 21, zone 22, zone 23, zone 24, zone 25, zone 26, zone 27, zone 28, zone 29, zone 30, 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 zone 30. I'm shining on my thing and I've chosen here. It appears here in front of me. Each zone also has its own look. Choose for the first face to ground or face to face or the secret face. For example, I choose face to iris. It then asks you which zone you want to display. For instance, you want to see the effect of zone 1 or the effect of zone 2. Let's say, for example, we make it a secret zone with zone 2 or with zone 1. You want to see phase selection outside the zones or not, because of course phase selection, as we agreed, if it is segmented inside the zone, you then choose what it starts with the card. If you want to visit the reach, you can do so because the reach is not officially part of the phase selection with us. Therefore, the reach cannot appear with you. You need to look at the drawings to know whether the phase selection is correct with you or not. Here you can see. whether the phase selection is correct with you or not. Here you can see whether the phase selection is correct with you or not. Here you see whether the phase selection is correct with you or not. Set OK. And Cass Rivers also face what? At that time you will go to the verge where choose 4 zones. There is no time group because they are all the same time, 0%, 400%, 800%, 1000%, time to time to time to time to time to time to time. With flavors, 5% is more than enough for you. You want to cut 10%? What's the issue? No problem. 5% is very fine. Using binary input to use the fridge, we choose the type dry L to N. We will not use reverse. To use ground factor, 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 to use ground factor. Just make sure that it is triggered here and that it gives me its result, okay? Of course, zone 2 is supposed to be triggered here, but it is actually cut off. So of course, zone 2 will also come to the same place here, but I can't test it at this same point. I tell it to also select zone 2, and every time I will find that the count for zone 1 is the one that is being complained about. All right. But there is another way you can try. You can make a ramp in any shape, then take the ramp from here. And take the head from here. And test the secret zone to ensure whether you will work correctly or not. Test me in the zone quickly to make sure you have become a falcon. No. In the second zone, if you want to add another ramp, add another ramp. If you want to add another ramp, if you want to add another ramp, if you want. It's correct with you. Here, the same thing in the possible, like you bring it like this and cut for me the lower side and say what? I will work, but only descend 4. So let me explain in detail what I actually did during this time. I was employed at this particular place, and my role involved various responsibilities and tasks that required my attention and effort. It was a collaborative environment where I had to work closely with my colleagues and adapt to the dynamic nature of the projects. The same thing in face-to-face, for example, the same thing in face, revision, and so on. Okay? Okay. Great, so for you it's all set, and for the timing, of course, you go to the RX page, right? And you work, okay? Okay, so have we finished, right? All right, Manon, now you can draw it in blue if you want to bring its component. You can get it through here. What's it called? It's called... Through this direction, you can send the direction from the same direction to enter the menu. So whether it's the power swing, enter the setting and choose whether you want to exit in the selection or the soda wire power swing.